So let's do business now. The Bank of Ghana has stated its resolve to roll out an effective digital currency, ECD, despite the delay. This comes after the central bank rescheduled the launch of the digital currency in 2022 due to the economic instability. Head of FinTech and Innovation at the Bank of Ghana, Kwame Opong, spoke to Joy Business at the Africa Money and DeFi Summit 2023, where a hackathon was launched to develop innovative solutions.
The Africa Money and DeFi Summit is a platform to connect industry leaders from the African fintech and emerging technology space with many international players. With Africa becoming a major player on the global financial scene and increasing adoption of financial technologies, the African continent has become a fertile ground for financial innovation and emerging technologies such as cryptocurrencies. Hence, the need for dialogue to harmonize and create new opportunities for fintechs and traditional players. On rolling out an effective digital currency to support financial inclusion, Head of FinTech and Innovation at the Bank of Ghana, Kwame Opong, had this to say.
As the Governor mentioned at the 111th MPC briefing, currently the decision as to when to potentially introduce ECD is yet to be determined. It's important that first things are handled first. You don't want to introduce a new variable within a certain climate. But the most important thing is that our exploration and research, and as you see with the sandbox, or with the sandboxing of the ECD and a hackathon, are things that are part of the steps towards understanding and making sure that a future ECD will be relevant, will be safe, and would also actually come to inure to the benefit of the overall sector. So at the right time, I'm sure the leadership of the bank will make a
launch of a hackathon by the Bank of Ghana to develop innovative solutions to specific situations in which the ECD could potentially be used.
Within this context, we will be leveraging the creativity of young developers in Ghana and innovators in developing use cases for a potential future ECD. This is really a way of, first of all, demonstrating our commitment to the fact that we think of the ECD as an enabler of the broader ecosystem as opposed to a competing product. But even most importantly, it would also show that indeed there is creativity, talent, and potential here in this country to solve our local problems.
Andrew Fasnich, founder of the Africa Money and DeFi Summit, explained the need for regulators on the African bloc to catch up with emerging technology.
The other side about decentralized finance and crypto, whether regulators agree or disagree, it's happening. So if people are losing money in their local currencies and they don't trust the local currency, they're going to find other alternatives, and that is happening. So unfortunately, the genie is out of the bottle. There's no going back. I think the regulators obviously have to catch up in terms of what happens, and there has to be protection. You know, I'm not here telling people to go and buy crypto. What I'm saying, as an industry, I think there has to be protections in place.
The summit, which was held under the theme Catalyzing the Financial Revolution in Africa, aims to converge fintechs and cryptocurrencies to contribute to the financial growth of the continent and explore new opportunities in a rapidly expanding market.
Now, the Chamber of Agriculture has disclosed that fish farmers along the Volta Lake have lost live fish stock worth over 46 million cedis due to the spillage of water from the Akosombo Dam. The Volta River Authority opened the dam recently to ensure that the hydropower plant is not damaged as a result of the rising water levels. The following report has more.
The spillage, according to the Chamber of Agriculture of Ghana, has caused massive destruction to the assets and investment of cage farmers operating along the Volta Lake. Over 500 cages have been destroyed. Cage farmers lost their fish stock, brood stock, and fingerlings. In addition, some hatcheries situated close to the Volta River bank have been submerged. The chamber disclosed that a number of its members and other cage farmers operating on the Volta River have lost an estimated 46 million cedis worth of investment as a result of the spillage from the dam. It added that the current spillage has washed away fish farming assets to the estuary at Adan, destroying them beyond repairs. This could in the coming weeks affect the supply of fish to consumers in the southern parts of the country.
Now, the National Pensions Regulatory Authority says government has now cleared all outstanding Tier 1 and 2 pension contributions ending August 2023. It's coming after the Financial Stability Review report revealed that government has defaulted on contributions from October last year to March 2023. The Chief Executive Officer of the authority, Hayford Atta-Krofi, explained that the delay was due to the government wanted to finalize the debt exchange program before all necessary payments are made.
Last year, at the inception of the domestic debt exchange, government had to restructure its debt. And of course, that meant that it had a lot of impact on its commitment towards all sectors of the economy, including pensions. So there were some delays in the payment of Tier 1 and Tier 2 contributions. Now, the first phase of the domestic debt exchange came to a close, and the second phase opened. Remember, pension funds didn't want to participate, so there was an ongoing discussion between government and pension funds. And then in the second phase, pension funds participated, which closed in August, and all contributions, all arrears, that was old pension funds, was then cleared by government.
So as we speak right now, is it ending July, ending September? All the necessary SNIT Tier 1, Tier 2 contributions has been done by government?
Well, there will always be some delays. There will always be some delays. But there is absolutely no way that government would default. But as at the 28th of October, when the second phase of the domestic debt exchange closed, all commitments of government to pension funds, and it was to the tune of about 2.33 billion Ghana cedis, which was paid to pension funds.
That takes it up to the end of June, that takes it up to end of July, or that takes it up to when, please?
It was August. Throughout all jurisdictions, that is always the case, but there is absolutely no way that government will default on its commitment towards pensions.
You don't see that. Some would say that an up-to-date payment would have helped a lot if it hadn't been with debt exchange program. The issue about delays in meeting these contributions has always come up, and so the concern is that for you as a regulator, what is being done to ensure that at least there could be a month gap in terms of the up-to-date payment when it comes to all these payments?
The law says it should be paid on the 14th of the ensuing month. And if it is not paid, obviously there will be some value loss. And that is why the law has built in a 3% penalty that has to be paid on top of the principal that needs to be paid. And that is how the law works, to ensure that contributors are not shortchanged when it comes to pension payments.
Today we are talking about government because there's a concern there. What is being done to ensure that all the players also meet their payment obligations to ensure that the scheme is sustained?
Yeah. Of course, as I said, there will always be delays. There may be some who may even avoid, there are those who may even default, because some will claim, especially with Tier 2, that we don't even know that Tier 2 is mandatory and so on and so forth. Now, both the regulator and the Tier 1 managers, which is SNIT, have powers to prosecute, and these powers are being utilized in full force to ensure that those who do not pay on time, those who default, are prosecuted. And as at now, Tier 1 and Tier 2 defaulters, as many of them are in the courts and they are facing prosecution.
And this amount that was paid in August, any idea about the exact amount that was paid?
Well, the government's commitment to pension funds was 2.33 billion Ghana cedis.
And do you think that enough is being done on your part as a regulator to ensure that the scheme would deal with the sustainability concerns that has come up in terms of the scheme itself?
Of course, as regulators, you have to be on top of your game, in terms of how you regulate and monitor the industry. Of course, we use technology, we use some kind of, I would say, sometimes moral suasion, especially in circumstances where you have to put in some regulatory forbearance to ensure that you don't leave your industry too far behind. You carry them along with you, and you bring in innovations and a whole lot of technology that can also help your industry to keep alongside with you. Yeah, so as regulators, we're doing the best that we can under the circumstances, but you cannot rest on your oars, because naturally as the industry grows up, there will be institutions which will avoid, there will be institutions which will lag behind, there will be institutions which will be doing the right thing. So you always have to keep up with it. And that's why I would say as regulators, we have developed a new technology which we call the risk-based supervision. That is also helping us in real time to see what the risks are in the industry, and then to see how we can mitigate them, and where we cannot mitigate, and there are, say, residual risk, we use inspections and sometimes even penalties and other forms of sanctions to bring everybody up to speed.
Again, going forward again, what has been the level of engagement with government to ensure that as time goes on, we reduce the time lag for meeting these contributions to the scheme when it comes to Tier 1 and Tier 2?
The engagement is regular. We go to the Ministry of Finance, we go to the Controller and have discussions, especially when we have complaints from the public sector schemes. That and here, talking about the public sector schemes, we're talking SNIT here. We're also talking about for example, the teacher scheme, the civil servant scheme, the doctors and nurses scheme, the judicial service, and other public service workers schemes. These are the public sector schemes that government is mainly a strong employer, and that is where sometimes some of these delays will come from. So when we have complaints from them, then we will approach government and see how best we can work through that.
Now, banking consultant Dr. Richmond Atuahene is making a strong case for government to be heavy on international remittances in restoring stability within the economy. According to him, this could aid in the exchange rate regime in the country. He spoke earlier on the marketplace.
I mean, in the beginning statement, you made a very good analysis that the city has tumbled. It's all tumbling because the supply and demands, the differences between the supplier and demands. Unfortunately, other jurisdictions have tapped on remittances to balance the book. A typical case is Bangladesh, even Sri Lanka. They depend so much on these remittances, which is immigrant remittances, and it has helped the countries like Bangladesh to stabilize. And I believe that if Ghana adopt the model that we have with Bangladesh or Jordan and even other jurisdictions in South Asia, we'll be able to bring in more to be able to cushion the currency which has been tumbling all the time. Because the data shows that even from the World Bank, from the Bank of Ghana data, the remittances are far more exceedingly above than in cocoa or gold. Last year, cocoa was $863 million US. Remittances, according to Bank of Ghana data, was 2.3 billion, which actually came to all the authorized dealer banks. Let alone if you move it further to look at the data from World Bank office, we're talking about 4.7 billion, which is far more exceedingly than cocoa, gold, and what have you. So that is the reason why we need to tackle it as if we're going to tackle it to support the currency. Unfortunately, the remittances is the largest. I mean, if you take its largest, is bigger than all the inflows that come into the country. But we have not made a conscious effort to track and capture all these remittances into our balance of payments position. If we do that, I believe Ghana will stand tall.
He also took a swipe at the government for the lack of data in tracking the monetary value of remittance inflow into the country.
You know, currently, the World Bank data tells you that 4.7, and we only record 2.3. So definitely, it is something to do with the data capturing.
Right.
Data capturing. Because if you're not capturing the quality data, then there will always be discrepancies. Because if you license all these fintech, the MTNs, especially the MTN, the Vodafone, those who are supposed to get a chunk of the foreign currency, but at the end of the day, they only look at the city. They don't look at, nobody is tracking the foreign currency component, which is a very dangerous, because previously, from my experience, in the I think 2008, 2009, when I used to be a dealer of a bank treasurer, we used to buy foreign currency from ADB, at that time Western Union. They were the source of it, and we could buy as much as $25 million to support oil imports, and it didn't impact on the cocoa, so we can all the time make money. And I'm saying that if we should look at the policy issues like data not comparing with World Bank, and we address the systems, especially those in fintech, if they are in or those in the telecos, if they are in it, who is taking care of the foreign currency? Because the question is that CD is Ghanaian currency, but the dollar is foreign. So somebody should take the foreign currency, give the CD, and you will be paid a certain commission of what you have done, and then repatriate the difference to either Bank of Ghana or to the authorized dealer bank. This is only one of the policy issues. There are a couple of them. There are about 10 of them that needs to be addressed.
Now, managing partner at Ishmael Yamson and associate Michael Harry Yamson has called on policymakers to develop a regulatory framework that will facilitate smooth intra-African trade. According to him, a careful consideration of the regulatory framework will be critical in removing trade hurdles and boost the competitiveness of Ghanaian businesses. He has been speaking at the launch of the report on diagnostic analysis of Ghana's African Continental Free Trade Agreement Preparedness, commissioned by the UPSA Law School.
The report on diagnostic analysis of Ghana's African Continental Free Trade Agreement Preparedness is a project produced by Ishmael Yamson and Associates and commissioned by the UPSA Law School. The project seeks to assess Ghana's readiness for the African Continental Free Trade Agreement. The report details how Ghana's policy framework and regulations will enable Ghanaian businesses benefit from the regional trade agreement. The report also touched on requirements needed by industry as well as small and medium companies to stay competitive. Managing Director at Ishmael Yamson and Associates, Michael Harry Yamson, had this to say.
The idea for the report was to confirm whether Ghana, as the host of the AFCFTA, having the secretariat here, is also indeed put its house in order and is ready to implement, to be a leading example of implementation of the protocols that have already been put into effect across the region. Now, for each protocol, there are various elements, and for each element, there are implications for laws, there are implications for regulations, and there are implications as far as national policies are concerned.
Mr. Yamson further called for ease in documentation and access to information to harmonize trade.
It is a fact that for most people who are engaged in trade, just the number of forms that you have to fill to get your product through the customs, to get your product out of the jurisdiction, and then when you enter into the next jurisdiction, it should be possible for us to sit in Ghana and know that container number X has been logged in Abidjan as destined for Takoradi Port or Tema Port or Buankrano, and therefore be able to receive it and simply confirm what is in it, and do so in a very simplified one-stop shop approach. Today it is not so.
Kofi Abuchi is the Dean of the UPSA Law School.
Let me also say that this is supposed to be a preparatory report. A report indicates how prepared we are. So we appreciate what you said about the fact that it is not an event, it's a process. But in the process, there must be commencement. And I think this is really to check how ready we are to commence that process.
The theme of the report is Diagnostic Analysis of Ghana's After Preparedness, a review of the legal, policy and regulatory framework for the implementation of the African Continental Free Trade Agreement in Ghana.
Now, business leadership expert Professor Enoch Opoku-Antwi is calling for some regulation to ensure goods and services are priced appropriately for customers to get value for money in their purchases. According to him, the country's free market concept has been to the disadvantage of customers who want to acquire an item, especially in the food sector. Speaking at this year's EB Connect series in Accra, Professor Antwi stressed on the need for food vendors to be regulated accordingly.
The September EB Connect series by the Enterprise Bureau was under the theme Meeting Business Demands Through Strategic Partnerships and Collaboration. This is in line with the objective to support small businesses in many ways to attract partnerships and expand. Giving the keynote speech, lecturer and leadership expert Professor Enoch Opoku-Antwi advised Ghanaian SMEs not to take advantage of the unregulated business environment to have smart customers. He called on government to enact some form of regulation to ensure fair pricing.
I think that the government should have a regulation. If you go to any mall and you buy, the prices are set on that. You buy, you are paying taxes. Those on the roadside are not paying taxes. Even that, they are not being honest to the customer. Why? If they are selling, olonka of Gary, they have mangled the olonka in such a way that it's not up to the olonka. If anything that people are selling, if it is tomatoes, they have some grass under the basket. And then they put that little tomato, so they pour it quick as if you think that is the whole basket was full of tomatoes, but no, half is grass. So why do we do this? And the government should regulate that, because the average customer is being cheated.
Managing partner at First Code Management Services, King Joseph, highlighted the importance of such seminars to the business community.
A lot seems to be happening in the space. However, there are still some gaps that need to be filled. And then I think most of the attention and focus is going towards financing and financial support to startups and entrepreneurs. But we notice over time people need a lot more than that. They need direction, they need focus, and then they need their hands to be held along the path. And so we put together events like this, and we definitely get people who come on board, and they have experiences to share. They have some knowledge to pass on, and then they have lessons to learn as well. So it's always exciting to get resource persons, to get experts, and to get other leaders to come and then look at how they can help people navigate the challenges that they face in the business environment.
The Enterprise Bureau Connect series is a monthly activity aimed at supporting the growth of the SME sector.
Now, leading distributor of electronics and home appliances, Electroland Ghana Limited, has emerged as the only distributor of TCL appliances on the Ghanaian market. The exclusive distribution right was reviewed in a strategic partnership announcement alongside a customer engagement in Kumasi. There's more in the following report.
In the competitive and fast advancing electronic industry, Electroland Ghana Limited has become the only source of TCL products on the local market. The partnership will afford Electroland Ghana space to distribute TCL customer electronics, including televisions, air conditioners, washing machines, refrigerators, and sound bars to homes, offices, and industries. The announcement event included customer engagement to address potential challenges and seek recommendations. Marketing and retail manager of TCL, Dennis Fixen-Lai, indicates the partnership will expand reach.
Electroland is arguably if not the best distributor, one of the best we have in the country. TCL partnered with Electroland because we wanted to reach more people. We wanted to give people better viewing experience, better listening experience, and better feeling experience. TCL is not here just to make money. TCL is here to inspire greatness amongst the youth. We can use that through Electroland. So if you're under the sound of my voice, I advise you that yes, people are frauding people are taking people's monies on social media, physically and all. Please, if you want quality TCL products, by walk into any Electroland shop.
According to the National Sales Manager of Electroland Ghana Limited, Vincent Azanbiok, the partnership will provide a diverse range of services to customers.
We have products that are tailor-made for all sorts of life. Anywhere you find yourself, whether you are a premium customer, whether your budget is a bit low, or is a medium income budget, we make sure that we have a product for you. So that's why we have a diversity in our brands, diversity in our products as well. So we're always excited when we're able to add a top brand such as TCL to our lineup.
Ashanti Regional Manager of Electroland Ghana, Hadi Naji, assures of commitment to deliver high-quality products.
That was choosing TCL. It was based on the quality assurance we usually give to our clients. As my colleague, the TCL market manager, was referring to the 98 inches, for example, TCL is #1 in the world, and in different televisions also they are top 2. So it is quality is assured to the public of Ghana.
Clinton Yeboah's report, read to you.
And that's how we wrap up Prime Business for you. There's more news on myjoyonline.com/business. Up next is Razak Musbah with Prime Sports.